On today's episode of Builder Nation, we introduce Intermode, a company creating flexible robotic platforms tailored to businesses and researchers. Their flagship product, Modal, offers affordable, customizable, autonomous solutions for various industries, from delivery services to R&D. Intermode's leasing model makes robotics accessible for companies looking to innovate without the high cost of building custom robots. Keep watching to discover how Intermode is empowering businesses to explore robotics technology with ease. Today, we are joined by Ann Larson, co-founder at Intermode. Welcome, Ann. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, great to be here. Really excited.
Yeah, us too. So I do a little research about you, and I saw that you studied engineering and then you work as an electrical and calibration engineer. What inspired the creation of the Modal platform of Intermode, and how has it evolved over this time?
The original idea for Intermode was really my co-founder kind of always saw that these robotic delivery vehicles, and he was extremely fascinated by them. And he would talk to me about it. And both of us don't have a robotics background. We don't do machine learning, computer vision, any of that stuff. So we didn't think that we were qualified to be in the industry. But then the COVID-19 pandemic came around, and if anything was going to make this industry take off, that would have been it. Yeah. And it still didn't get off the ground, so we kind of started looking at what the core issues were, and we realized that all of these companies are building what is essentially a box on wheels with, some really small customizations to the appearance. And really, us being from an automotive background at Ford Motor Company, we're like, in everything else and stuff, like FedEx, UPS, they don't make their own trucks, they don't make their own planes. Even Amazon went and outsourced the creation of their new vans. So we're like, why don't we do that, but for all of these mobile robots, so other people can focus on their specialties and we can focus on what we do well.
Mm-hmm, perfect. And you, as I said, you work as an calibration engineer, electrical engineer. So how this experience from your previous jobs or your previous, studies, what do you think that you brought into Intermode?
Definitely, the biggest thing is actually back when I was in college. My co-founder and I were both part of the University of Michigan solar car team, and while on the team, I was an electronics engineer, and that's where I really learned a lot of the practical tool set that I use while at Intermode. And then when I went on to Ford, that's where I really formalized a lot of that experience, kind of seeing how just things in the real world function. And a huge part of what I learned at Ford that is really useful right now is that I learned a lot about how to, design these reliable vehicles to make sure they function well, identify what the customer wants. And also I helped develop some data analytics tools. So how do you collect large amounts of data across a fleet of vehicles and tie it in order to make a more reliable product that meets the customer's demands?
Wow, that's really cool, because I was looking, I was like doing a research about Intermode. I was looking the website, and I found like really like this crazy robot that can adapt to different things. Like I want to ask you, I saw it on the website, but I want to ask you from you that what customizations options does Intermode offer for this with this Modal machine?
It's really anything that a person might want to do. The standard models that we have are the one featured on our website, which is mostly used for food and grocery delivery, but we're also actually running a pilot in the city of Detroit right now, where we're picking up plastic bags, used electronics, and food waste for recycling. Then we also have a standard option that's omni-wheel design that's used for more indoor applications. And that one, we've seen customers use it for industrial manufacturing, and another customer actually put like a hydraulic press on top of it to do prefabricated housing, so that their assembly line doesn't need to change in order to manufacture different parts of a house. The robot can bring the machine wherever it wants. And beyond that, we work with customers to develop things that might be custom to them if they so choose. So you have one customer that's still doing food and grocery delivery, but they're doing it a completely different approach to the design from our standard model with a fully automated deploying mechanism, for example. And then ultimately the customers are able to just take the bare platform and use it to do whatever they want on top of it.
Yeah, and that's really cool because also this helps with people's time. No, like now that the time is the most valuable resource for people. Like this model, this robot really helps people around the world are in different fields, in different industries, like you said, delivery, but you also can in a construction, everywhere. So I think that it's really, really helpful that too.
Yeah, definitely the time-saving aspect of this is a huge motivation for Intermode as a whole, because we initially focused on food and grocery delivery just because that's what, has gotten attention in the industry so far. And even within that, like, Americans spend so many hours every year just driving to the store to pick up like a jug of milk or something that is really, really small. And they're driving an entire, like 2-ton vehicle in order to pick this stuff up. And in all of that time and stuff, they could be spending it, working on their passion, spending time with family or friends, or any of those things, which, right now they might get stuck sitting in traffic because that's what everyone else is doing. But if we can get these robots affordable enough and accessible enough that really anyone can take their business idea and turn it into something that can save time across society, then that's, the value of time, as you were saying and stuff, is the most valuable thing that we have. And it's really because of that, like, you can't get it back. So it's in a lot of ways incalculable how valuable a robotic revolution could be.
Yeah, that's totally right. I agree with you about that. And now that you mentioned the affordability, how does this Intermode vehicle differ from the custom-built robotic delivery platforms in terms of affordability and scalability?
Definitely one of the biggest things that makes it more affordable is the fact that it is a lease model. So instead of having to, raise like $15,000 just for a single prototype, you could instead take that and turn it into a fleet of like 15, 20 robots right off the bat. So that just makes it a lot easier to get started because each robot is like $1,000 thereabout with full sensors and everything. And kind of how we go about achieving that is that one thing that's nice about the lease model is it changes the incentives for us as engineers. And instead of, trying to save, pennies on the dollar when we're selling these things and designing it so that it will break down in 5 years so we can make another sale, since it's a lease model, we're ultimately responsible for the vehicle through its entire lifespan. So now it's in our best interest to make it so the vehicle lasts as long as possible. And one thing that's actually kind of little hidden bonus of that change in incentives is that in addition to making it so we're incentivized to make the vehicles last as long as possible, it also incentivizes us to make it as recyclable and reusable as possible. So there's a whole sustainability aspect of this beyond just, taking cars off the road. And instead we can explore really innovative concepts. Like we have a partnership with Mitsubishi Chemical where they're leasing us raw plastic material. And then once we're done using the material at end of life, we just ship it back to them. They ship us brand new parts, and we just do that for a small monthly payment instead of buying all that plastic up front and stuff and having to manage it ourselves.
Yeah, and I think that point is also super important because it's not like, you are making machines, robots everywhere all the time. Like, of course, we want to be like really friendly also with the environment. We want to take out the cars or the many trucks that we have on the road, but not replacing it with something that will be damage the environment. No? So I think that that's really, really important to be considered for everybody that have like a company related with robotics, with drones, like many things.
Yeah, it's definitely the environmental aspects is a huge thing for us because really it's I know there's a saying in the industry of why would you use a 2-ton vehicle to move a 2-pound burrito, which is a very large burrito, but it gets the point across of, like the existing model is extremely inefficient with just how energy is used. And then if we shrink it down to these smaller vehicles, and it's like they're a lot more lighter, they move really only just what they need to. And then the fact that they're smaller means that traffic gets cleared up as well. So then there's less just idling in traffic, and definitely the major metros and stuff have that really bad where during rush hour and stuff you're sitting there for at least 1 hour. So if all of these people that might be just running to run errands or something suddenly don't need to anymore, then that will improve traffic flow everywhere as well.
Yeah, that's true. And I think we said again, the time is the most important resource right now. So everything related with this will be really helpful for everybody. And now going back again with the Modal platform, how this Modal software handle the route planning and navigation in complex environments.
That's definitely one of the most interesting aspects of this, is because Intermode really focuses on the hardware. It's ultimately up to our customers to kind of tell us how they want to be able to control it, and then we can make recommendations on what kind of sensors they need, what kind of compute modules they need. And we have some partnerships with different companies. For instance, we partner with VM out of New York in order to develop a really turnkey solution where it's like, here's the hardware, here's the software that runs on it. Tell us what you want to use your robot for, and we can make it work. So we have options and stuff which are designed primarily around teleoperation with cameras and some basic audio inputs. And then we also have customers at the complete opposite end that have LiDARs, radars, the whole shebang, that are aiming for a fully autonomous solution, both indoors and outdoors.
That's really cool. The Modal platform adapts to everybody, to any kind of circumstances or every field.
Exactly. That's a huge thing for us. Is that a huge thing that we learned while in the automotive sector, and really anyone in the Midwest, because of how big automotive is that really building the base platform that moves a robot is really like 80% of the work. And then the stuff that goes on top of it, how to control it, all of that stuff is like, from a hardware standpoint, that's like 20% of the work. So what we took as a business concept is to approach it from the ground up as let's make a really strong foundation that can be used for as many things as possible, make it that we can just change out 1 or 2 parts, and it can go from indoors to complete off-road conditions with only a marginal change in what we have to do on the hardware side. And then it's kind of, okay, here's the last 20%, and that's really what people would be paying for.
Yeah, that's true, and I am so impressed about this. As I told you, when I checked the website and I saw how this works and how it can adapt to every field, was like really crazy to watch. But I imagine that during all these years, since the beginning until now, you and your team faced a lot of different challenges about like the customization, the hardware, the software, everything. So tell me, what do you think was the most big challenge that you faced?
Definitely one of the biggest challenges that we faced is really just kind of convincing people that such a different way of approaching things is a really good, will be better for them overall, because people are just so used to, it's like just single point of sale transaction, and then it's just kind of, whatever afterwards. And we're like, hey, let's not only do leases like you get with cars, but we'll also cover all maintenance and repairs that might happen. And if you run into a use case that we weren't prepared for, we'll figure out how to make the robot work without charging you anything extra, because it's ultimately our responsibility to make sure that the robot works for any possible use case that customers might be able to come up with. And it's really been just kind of, getting people to adjust to that mindset of they basically outsource their entire hardware team for a monthly price per robot, instead of having to bring it all in-house. And once we get a chance to explain it, people are pretty receptive to that idea.
Oh, that's cool. And now that we are talking about challenge in today's business, what do you think is the most significant challenge that you face in the procurement process or in the supply chain?
Definitely one of the biggest things is kind of, as we're scaling, we're really looking to clear what is ultimately a pretty large step function in changing over from what are really hand-built prototypes over to something that is like small-scale mass manufactured, where large parts of this process are being automated out in order to make it so that we can turn these things out at hundreds of robots a year, and kind of part of that is looking at how do we onshore different parts of the process to the United States. Given global trade tensions, there's definitely a lot of stuff that we have to, re-identify new suppliers for. And there's some things that really the US and really anywhere outside of China doesn't have a really strong base for, like brushless DC motors. That China really has a lock on just because they're so simple. But with trade tensions right now, we're kind of having to experiment with different approaches on how do we solve the core problem of how do we make these robots move.
Yeah, because I think that also everybody, like when they start like a company or something, they have the idea to do it, but then these problems, these challenges start to appear over the time, and it's like, oh, it's not just I need to build something, is I have to deal with many other things. But I think that if you have a good team with you, it's totally like the way will be better.
Exactly. That's really one of the big challenges that we're looking to fix with our business model, because a lot of people, they're really brilliant, smart people. They are like, hey, I can take these parts off of like Amazon, AliExpress, and put together a robot, and they can do that. But once they get to the point where they need to build more than 10 or 15 of these things, and they raise Series A, and it's like, okay, now I'll build hundreds of these things and scale it across the country, then it becomes a problem of mass manufacturing and logistics. And really that's like entire problem in and of itself, that entire industries are built around that and absolutely nothing else. And people end up realizing that they're not doing robotics anymore, they're basically a small automaker. And that's definitely not what they had in mind. So with our business model, we're aiming to kind of take that experience as automotive engineers and say, hey, let us handle all of that hard stuff. You can focus on the fun robot stuff.
Yeah, that I think that's perfect. As we said, that the important thing about the team that you have, that you can focus on this, you can focus on this, and then the other people can focus on the other thing. So everybody like apport something important to the product, to the final product. And what do you think that this, how do you think is the future of robotic delivery, or in general of robotics, is going to be evolving? And what role do you think, or do you hope that Intermode will play in that future?
I definitely see robotics in the next 20 years really kind of taking off and finally, delivering that sci-fi future that we've been promised for decades at this point, especially with artificial intelligence really kind of seeing its time in the sun at this point. And I sincerely hope that Intermode will have a huge part in making it so that future can occur, and do it in such a way that it's really equitable, so that people really, and my dream is that anyone that has an idea of how to use these robots is able to do so, because we've been able to make it so that robots are as easy to acquire as it is to, go to your car dealership and get a used truck in order to start your own business.
Yeah, that's totally true. I hope the same for the future, and I am sure also that Intermode is going to be part of it and will make like a real difference in the robotic field for sure. And what do you think will be your number one advice for people that is starting maybe with this creation of a company, or they want to create something, they want to start with this journey of an entrepreneur? What do you think you will say to them?
It's definitely, without context, it's pretty controversial, but my advice is usually that it's not as hard as you think it is. It's still extremely difficult, but like before I did this, I was always thinking stuff, I could never cut it as an entrepreneur. It's just so hard. I need money. I need like technical expertise. And really starting this process has shown me that there are a lot of people out there who want new business owners to succeed. They want entrepreneurs to succeed, both for, their own altruistic reasons, and because, like the US government, state governments have a huge incentive to make sure that new ideas are injected into the economy. So it's ultimately that there's a lot more support out there than people might think. They just need to know that they should look for that support instead of just assuming that they're going to have to go in completely alone.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that, for example, in Builder Nation, we showed these people that have like that feeling of create something new. Like people really want to create, and people out there that are not creating something, they want to see that if someone else create new things, create something that makes our lives easier, makes is good with the environment, like many things like that. And I think that of course you will have many challenges, many problems along the way, but you have to just jump in and try to do it.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Like that's really the biggest thing I've learned is it is a leap of faith. You just kind of have to jump in. And that's one of the things I really like about what you at Builder Nation do, is really fostering that kind of environment so that entrepreneurs and like-minded people can just kind of get together. And it's like, yeah, we're down to the trenches right now. It really sucks, but hey, we're in it together and stuff. We can help each other out. We can get through this together.
Yeah, that's totally true. And we really like encourage people to keep with these thoughts of creating, to see the future different for everybody. And thanks again for being here and share all your thoughts with us. It was really cool to hear about you and your ideas and Intermode, how this works, where we can find you and Intermode, the social media website.
Where our website is www.intermode.io, and then we're on a lot of the social media platforms, Real Intermode, and then my personal social media is Transalos, TRANZALLOS.
Okay, perfect. And for everybody that is watching, be sure to visit our website, buildernation.io. You can also connect with us on LinkedIn by following Builder Nation for the latest updates and exclusive content. Thank you all for being part of this amazing community. We will see you in the next episode. And a special thanks again to Ann for joining us today.
Of course. Bye.